Okay, ladies, I have a very special guest here with me today. Allie Bjerk, I have known since before she ever came up with Tiny Offer, which is something that exploded her onto the two Comma Club award stage and has created this amazing empire that you've built. And I want to know all the things that have happened throughout the journey, the ups and downs, and all the in betweens. And you're a mom of three, and there's so much that I've always been able to look up to you on with just how you handled all of this. So please introduce yourself and then we will dive right in.
Thank you so much. That was a great intro. I don't know what else to say. My name is Allie Bjerk. I call myself a digital strategist, digital marketer, coach, creator. There's been a lot of hats that I've worn over the years, but I think you really summed it up that probably what I'm best known for is the tiny offer strategy that I kind of launched out into the world back in 2019. And it kind of became its own snowball that it was like a runaway train for a little while where it grew super, super fast and helped me, have something to talk about online and have a framework that I built everything else around.
Okay, I love that. So let's back it up to before Tiny Offer. So
Yes.
you came from a marketing background and then decided to jump into online business when?
hmm So probably 2012. I always have to look at my kids' ages and then subtract because that really was the catalyst for me too, that we were having a hard time with daycare, as many new parents do, and trying. My youngest, or not my oldest, was a biter, and he kept getting kicked out of daycares, and I like couldn't keep him in a daycare for the life of me. We kept getting kicked out, and finally, I was like, I can't keep stressing about this because when it's your first kid, it's like everything is monumental. It's like everything's this huge deal and really brand new, and I told my husband, like, I have to work from home. Like that's my only option. And so I worked for another company where I was kind of consulting for them. And I just kept thinking, like, this would be so much better if it was my client and I was getting paid what they're charging. I'm doing the math of the employee math of like, well, they're billing my time at
Yeah.
85 an hour. I'm making 17 an hour. Like, what if all I did was found a few clients and made $30 an hour? And I won't even charge as much as they are. I'll undercharge and then I'll get more clients. I'm like doing the client math in my head. So I did that for probably 4 or 5 years. I had a few retainer clients, was building websites, doing social media, like really working hard for a lot of clients, and then it felt like I had 10 bosses, and it was a lot harder than having a job. It was not as blissful as I thought it would be, and I had a second kid, and it just felt like chaos. And I was severely undercharging for what I should have been charging, so I was getting a lot of clients that didn't value what I was doing. I mean, I think we've all had red flag clients that just burns you out after a while. And I felt like maybe I wasn't cut out to be a business owner. Maybe I shouldn't be out on my own. And then I realized, like, maybe I'm just doing the wrong work. Like maybe I should be teaching what I'm doing, or maybe, I kind of got introduced to this online world of coaches, and um, kind of fell in love with what these creators were doing. And I always admired people that had a thing of their own that they were selling, and I watched their launches, and I just was so enamored with this online coaching community, and I just couldn't do it for myself. It took me probably 3 years of kind of dipping my toe in the water and not really selling my own products, not really creating my own marketing. Like I just kept going back to the clients because it was easier. And then finally, kind of had this back against the wall moment where I had one of these clients that was not fun to work with. She ended up doing a chargeback after we'd finished her launch. She charged back a $6,000 payment, which for me was like
Everything.
devastating at the
Yeah.
time. That like put my account in the negative. This was in 2019, and I was crying to my husband. I was like, I quit. I'm done. Like I'll go get a job at Costco. Like I don't care. I just don't want to do this anymore. And he was like, what about the stuff that you've been building for yourself? Like, what about your own products? What if you just went all in and you didn't give up this time? Like, what if you trusted that it was going to work? And he's like, just give it 6 months, being visible, like trying to sell your own things, start your ads. And I was like, okay, I'll give it one last shot. And of course, it's like the one last shot that seems like it always works in these entrepreneurial stories, right? So like I had this $27 calendar that I had built. It was about live streams, how to do like different 365 ideas for live streams. And I started the ads, and I think I spent $30 on the first day of ads, and I made $64 back. So I was profitable on my first day of ads. And I was like, these
Well,
people definitely bought this product by mistake. Like, there's no way these strangers just gave me money. They're going to be mad at me. Like, I probably stole it from their credit card somehow. Like, I don't know how this happened. Like, I had so much doubt that they actually bought my product on purpose because I was so used to only working with people I knew really well at that time. So a stranger paying me was like, I couldn't believe it. So it kept happening. The next day, I scaled my ads a little bit and I had spent $60 and I made $120 back. And it just kept compounding until I got to the point where I had my first six-figure month, which to me was monopoly money. Like, we paid
yeah.
off our student loans, paid off cars. Like, it was crazy. And then from there, of course, as things happen, people are like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you running the ads? How are you growing this business? How have you built these like low ticket offers? And that's when I named them tiny offers. And from there, people asked me to start coaching them on how to create their own low ticket offers.
It kind of so because you and I knew each other at the time, and I even remember you putting up the poll saying like which one of these names for this offer would resonate, and so many people were like tiny offer, we love it, and you were just like okay, and like I
Yeah,
feel like
that's so
everything just
funny.
happened so fast. I mean, from the outside, it's almost like when somebody's pregnant and it feels like their pregnancy goes so fast when you're not the one in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it
Yep.
was like so fun to watch it all happen, and I love also how because there's a lot of people in the online space who will be like, oh, well, you know, you became successful before you had kids, you know, everybody loves to compare, like, well, your journey's not as hard as mine or whatever. And
Yeah.
that just needs to stop. But also, you were doing all of this literally in the thick of young kids.
Yep.
And it was like, so how do you think
Even
that?
now, I've got kids
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
in.
I'm like,
We're like waving in the background of the camera.
I love
They're
it.
they're still around. Yep.
I'm the ambitious mom movement. Like there's
Yeah.
always going to be kids rolling into the
Yep.
backgrounds. I'm always like,
100%.
just stop fighting. I'm on a
Yeah.
call.
Right.
Just
Exactly.
fighting. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why I had to do it the way that I did it, because even having all the clients, that was one of the reasons why it was so hard for me to meet deadlines because, kids, especially at that age, like I had three under five, it was so unpredictable. Somebody was always sick. Somebody was, like it
They
was a really
always need
hard business
snacks.
model to run,
Yeah.
having the kind of more the agency model. So this was almost out of necessity for me of like, I have to make passive income. Otherwise, I can't, there's no way I can be present for all the clients that I would need to make the revenue that I wanted.
Yeah. Okay. So then, and now you've shared like recently on posts that you've put out that you got to a place in your business where you were like, wait, I feel so disconnected at this point from the people. Like, how did that all kind of happen? And you must
Yeah.
have had this aha moment, right?
Yeah, I mean it's been more of a recent aha moment that I feel like I'm still kind of processing and working through how to talk about it. But I think, and this was 2020, so pre-COVID, I had probably like four different consultants that were on my team, like all super high ticket monthly consultants, and they were all like, scale, scale, like build this as big as you can. Like they saw the potential in it. And so I think I had an $80,000 payroll every month at one point, and I had all these people on my team, and I was spending a crazy amount on ads every month. I was running this weekly live webinar, and it was just, we kept pouring more and more into it, and got to the point. I wrote in a post this week. I had a $400,000 month, and my consultants were like, we're going for $1 million months. And I was like, hold on. Like, this is like, first, it felt like it grew way too fast for my brain and my nervous system to catch up with. But like, all of a sudden, my role wasn't strategist anymore. It wasn't creative. It wasn't any of those things. It was like managing the people and it was like true CEO mode where I was delegating and I was like managing this huge team. And I just felt so disconnected from why I had started, and what my true passion is like talking to entrepreneurs and like seeing their journey. And all the consultants that I was working with were like, nope, people don't talk to you. You're not even coaching in the program. We've got coaches for that. And in the name of scaling, like they called it a velvet rope. They're like, you need a velvet rope around you, and people can't touch you. They can't talk to you. You're removed from everything. And it made me so apathetic that I like didn't even want to manage people, and I didn't feel like showing up, and like my content ideas dried up because I wasn't talking to people anymore. And like I didn't know what to say because I felt like I was so removed from everything that was going on. And they were like, "Oh, just hire hire somebody else to create the content for you." And then I just kind of felt like a dancing puppet at some point where it was like, what's the point of all of this then? I'm so far removed. So then COVID happened and I was suddenly home full time. I mean, I was home already, but like had my three kids home all the time. My nanny quit via text message. My husband was still traveling because he was, essential worker, whatever. And it's like everything crashed and I imploded and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'm building the wrong business. It's not life proof, obviously, because here I am like having this nervous breakdown and I've got $80,000 worth of payroll to cover and I don't feel like showing up anymore. And it took me, I mean, here we are in 2026, and I feel like I'm just kind of ready to talk about that whole process. So lots of ups, lots of downs, lots of comeback era energy
Feel like that.
happening.
I don't remember exactly what you were posting back then, but I mean, I've always seen. Thank you, algorithm. You show me Allie stuff sometimes,
Yeah.
but I feel like
Thank you.
there was also
Also
this
grateful.
like this cool part that kind of emerged out of you where you decided to like take your health more seriously, and I think you stopped drinking for a while. I don't know like how that all,
Yeah.
but you were just like, this is too much, like too much happening. And so it's weird how all these different events and all the things that we think that we're pumped to chase in terms of
Hmm.
success, and then all of a sudden it comes crashing back down to what's actually important to me.
Yeah. Yep.
That was 100% your experience, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think the hard part is that something else I've been talking about is like getting, you reach a certain level of success and you start getting invited into these rooms. And like if your nervous system hasn't caught up to where you're at, or even your mindset or like your worthiness level, sometimes if you're in these rooms with eight-figure entrepreneurs and beyond, then I'm like talking about tiny offers, like it does something to your willingness to show up too and to feel like what you have is enough, or what, I mean, even though tiny offers were great and totally worthy of being in the room, it's like the stories I started telling myself was like, well, it's not enough, it's not as cool as what this other person is building. And also kind of recognizing what I'm wired for, which is connection and strategy. And the business model that I had built was removing me from some of my zones of genius. Like I'm not a manager, I don't belong in HR, I'm a creative. So I think part of it is owning that part too, of like building the business that you really want or what really lights you up with your zone of genius and your skill set.
So what would you say to somebody who's literally in build mode right now and they believe that they're destined for seven-figure business, but also the reason they left their successful career in the first place was because they didn't want to be burnt out or unfulfilled anymore. And then
Yeah.
it's almost like we jam ourselves back into the exact same pattern again. So like, what's your best advice for like, if you're going to build it, here's how you stay the course on something you actually love?
Yeah, I mean, I think really understanding what lights you up, like where you fill your energy bucket or what drains your energy bucket. Like I have friends who have 50 people on their team and they're having $1 million months and they love it. Like they're so lit up by managing people and they're so lit up by scaling. And so I think part of it is understanding it all can work, it all can be successful. It's just what is going to be your most sustainable version of your business too. Like if you're in it for the long haul, then how do you build a business that supports you, supports how you want to show up, your life, your nervous system, all those things too.
I think it's crazy also going back to what you said about how you got invited into rooms where you kind of felt small, because a lot of people would look at you and be like, oh my gosh, like that's the dream. And then you walk into other rooms
Which
where
is
you're
so
like, I
weird to
just
hear
feel
because
like a
yeah.
little peon.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it though. Like when like I have friends who have gracefully pointed that out to me too, and I'm like, I don't feel that. And I think part of it is, I mean, I'm from northern Minnesota, so I think there's some level of like Minnesota humility, or like I will never see it the way some of my friends are telling me that they see it.
I think
So
that's
that's
part
been
of
a
what
thing
makes
too.
you just so like you, whenever this is from somebody who's like seen you from afar for years, but like that's part of why you're so magnetic to people, is because you're
Thank
such a
you.
genuinely good person, and you share so much about your journey with your kids and watching like your son step into his own little entrepreneurial endeavors and stuff. And then my kids are out, rolling with their lemonade stands and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Allie, look
Love
at
it.
this. Like, this
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
funny. They're
They're
all
just
going to own
really cool.
laundromats one day. Hey, that's what we're
Yep.
going to steer them into.
Yeah, that's what we're teaching them. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's amazing.
Okay, so another question that I wanted to ask is just kind of like stepping back to a 30,000 foot view. How do you think motherhood has shaped your entrepreneurial journey?
It's a really good question. I think it's shaped everything. I have always, because I came into this as a mom, I think I always put the kids first, or I always prioritized family. And I know not everybody's wired that way, but the way that I built the business is like I can't sacrifice time with my kids. I can't do anything that's going to impact my relationship with my kids. Like I used to wake up probably, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning to get work done. And I remember I saw something, a post or a meme or something that was like, I am never disappointed to see my kids when they walk in the room. So like if a kid wakes up too early, and I just really adopted that mantra of like, I never want to be like, oh, you're getting in the way of my work, or I'm annoyed you're awake because I was trying to get work done. So I think it shaped my motherhood of always wanting to see them when they walked in the room and being excited to see them. And it made me have to build a business differently. And I am fairly ad reliant on the visibility side of my business because I'm paying for visibility, and then I don't have to be online as much as I would be if I had like a, 3 posts a day type organic strategy. The way I've made tiny offers work is like that pays for my ads and then feeds all the other pieces of the ecosystem. So I think it's figuring out, like, any business model can be successful if you believe it's going to work and you stick with it long enough to get to the 7-figure goal. But I think it was understanding sustainability for me too. Like I was never going to build a business where I was gone all the time, or I had to be on social media constantly. I always put the kids in their privacy, and I mean, they're on my social media somewhat, so they're not totally private, but it's not like they're on showcase either.
Yeah, gotcha. So, I mean, after all these years, tiny offers are obviously still working and going strong.
Having a moment too. Like I
Are
feel like
they?
it's like trends. Like I feel like they're working better now than they have. There's just so many things you can do with AI too. That's making it more fun.
Cool. And so you said you were going to have a little coupon code for a tiny offer.
Yes, yeah. So I have a tiny offer about tiny offers. It's very meta, I know, but it walks through the strategy of them, how to plan your first tiny offer, what that looks like, how it fits into your business, and talks through kind of the mindset of why and how to create them. So I have a coupon code for that. And then there are upsells on it, just to warn everybody. It is a tiny offer. You're going to see one in the works, but you don't have to take those if you don't want to go deeper with the strategy. The coupon will give you the main course for free.
And so what would be the difference for somebody listening between the way you teach tiny offers and a normal, let's say like low ticket or lead magnet or something like that?
I go really deep into the offer psychology of making sure you're bringing in the right people for the rest of everything else that you want to sell. So making sure, I mean, it's an offer. It's built as a, quote unquote offer for a reason, where it's got different psychological principles that make sure it's bringing in somebody that wants to keep paying you for other programs that you have. It's not just like a quick win cash grab. It's really built for relationship building and long-term value for your buyer.
Walk, walking the right people in the door.
Yes,
Oh, I love
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to drop that link for anybody that wants to go grab that from Allie. Thank you for giving that.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to wrap it up, what is your best advice for a woman who's like super ambitious, probably left a successful career because she just wanted to do it a different way? She's got some kids, and she's like, how do I actually balance all this and make this actually work?
Yeah, I think just remembering the little voices that keep coming back up. Like I work with a lot of people who, I mean, when you're starting, there's a ton of shiny object syndrome. Like, well, so and so did it this way for this price point and this offer structure, and ultimately, it's like your gut always kind of knows what you want to sell and how you want to serve your audience. So I think if there are themes that keep coming up, or things that you keep going back to, or ideas that keep resurfacing, those are the ones that I listen to. And there is some amount of putting the blinders on and just trusting your gut that I think online entrepreneurs need to do more of. Because there's a lot of info out there, especially with AI. Like everybody's got a different spin on things. And I think there's a lot more value that people know a lot more intrinsically than they realize.
Yeah, go with your gut. Do what lights you up. Figure out what your zone of genius is. Don't take yourself
Yes.
out of the equation. You're
Yeah,
so hungry. Have
totally.
some cherries. Do you say hi to my friend Allie?
Hi.
We call her Mowgli because her hair's so crazy in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Allie, so much. I so appreciate it. And for anyone who wants to connect with Allie or grab the tiny offer, which is amazing, I actually own it. I've owned it for years, and I should go
Oh,
back
awesome.
and through it
Yeah, yeah.
one
It's
more
got a
time.
little refresh for 2026 too. So
Yeah, I love
you should
that.
go check it out. Yeah,
Okay, my girl. Well, thank you so much for
cool.
coming in,
Yeah,
and
thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
no problem. Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah,
Happy.
too.
Bye.
Bye.